Welcome to More For Me with yours truly, Kat Necole. What up, homie? What's going on? Welcome to the building. So, as we sat here and prepared to start recording, I realized that still recording on Sundays, that I left it all on the table at church today, including my voice. So, hopefully, God is pleased with the worship that I gave today. So this is what you got. Let's keep it moving. Now that that's out of the way. Thank you for tuning in today. Whether this is your first time or your 78th time, I appreciate you joining me here in the studio. This is where I come and kick it with my homies, chop it up just a wee bit and talk about life, right? I love to share my journey and what I am experiencing, what I have experiencing, things that I'm learning, and really just to connect. Let some things off my chest, but then you can hear and know that you're not alone. And the more that I believe that God has for me, that he has the same in store for you. But on your journey towards that destination of more, that you will run into some valleys, mountains, potholes, and all the likes, hurdles, speed bumps, and random $20 bills on the side of the road. But everything that we face is an opportunity for us to become a better version of ourselves. I literally believe it and I live it. So let's dig in for this week. This past week for me was a bit challenging to say the least. And so today, what I want to share with you is a bit of encouragement, but it's also a little bit of a challenge and a checkup. And everything that I live and experience, essentially, well, not everything. It's a bit exaggerative, but what I experience and what I live out is what I come on here and share. And so for me this week, it was a bit of encouragement as well as a bit of a challenge. And it boils down to this. It is amazing to be seen, but it's very important to see other people. Now, this has been something that last year, hardcore seeing people, that was a part of my focus for the year. Lord, please help me see people. And not just no, I saw you. I didn't run into you, but literally I wanted to see people like God sees them. I don't want to see people and their imperfections, their flaws and my thoughts and all that stuff, right? It's kind of distracting, sometimes nonsense and trash. So I really wanted to see people like God sees them, because if I could see you like God sees you, that gives me an opportunity to truly love you like God does, with the love of God, unconditional, no exceptions, and to be able to connect with you because I see you, which means that I could hear you, and people want to be heard. People want to be seen. And so I continue. It's not like a checklist thing, right? Oh, I see people now. Let's move on, right? Life happens. You get busy. Things happen to you. And sometimes you forget. And so this week I had a reminder, or several, that I need to continue to see others. And again, see people the way that God sees them. The way that it started off, on Tuesday, I was on my way to take my kids to school, doing what I do, going the way that I go. Well, I like to speed, and apparently somebody loved speeding a little bit more than I did. And as they approached me, like a speeding bullet, a high-speed rail train, I chose not to change my lane. And this upset the person. And so, needless to say, long story short, at the end of it all, seconds. We're talking seconds here. So I say long story. It's not a long story. The person went around me. They had rolled down their window and they showcased a pistol, a lovely, probably like a 9mm, black boy, as in the gun. The gun was black. That's what I mean by black boy. It's a black handheld gun. And then they sped off. Now, that's traumatic in and of itself, right? That's like a silent threat of my life on the road, and off of trying to do 95, 100 miles an hour down a highway at 7:00 in the morning when the speed limit, real talk, is only 65 miles per hour. What made matters worse, my observant son was watching, saw the gun, and began to cry immediately. And so, how does this spark that I need to see people? As I tried to console my son while still on the road, as I began to process in that day, like, what just happened to me? What did I experience? I took this moment, this opportunity to try to become a better version of myself. So instead of ranting, screaming, becoming irrationally angry about what just happened to me, what could I have done differently in this situation? Now, from the get-go, you probably like, why are you speeding? Obey the law. Gotcha. That's real. And he comes in speeding like that. Why not just change lanes? It's pretty simple. That's what I thought too, afterwards. And so, as I continued to process from there, seeing people legit, like literally seeing this person fly in behind me and just having one different decision and sliding over. And I put my family and myself in a completely different situation by literally seeing this person and making a decision to move. But then it continued to go throughout the week. And we don't have to walk through any more examples, but the Holy Spirit laid quite a few people on my heart in terms of reaching out and trying to connect with them and at least letting them know, hey, thinking about you. Kind of like, I don't see you right now physically, but I see you. You're important. You're valued. I love you. And that helped me remember, hey, remember when you were very focused on seeing other people? That's pretty dope. Let's get back to that place. And I've said it before. Sometimes we learn a lesson and then we slightly modify our habits, our behaviors, our actions to deviate from it applying the lesson that we learned. So it's not necessarily that we don't know. It's really the application. Shout out to Robert White, lead pastor at Freedom Church. Pastor says, information plus application equals transformation. Shared with you a couple weeks ago, right? So it's that application that is missing. And so I have to be vigilant about applying this thing that I know. Slow down enough to see other people. Quite simple, like people matter. I am not the center of it all, but let me make sure that I see other people. And sometimes it's as simple as I see you coming in like a high-speed train on my tail. I'm going to move over because it's not that important. I'll move over and let you by. Sometimes it's enough to slow down and say, you know what? I'll have the conversation with you right now. I'll give you my undivided attention. I want to hear what you have to say because you matter and I see you. Even though I had something else on the docket, right? You know, that other thing can wait or it won't be the end of the world if it gets delayed. It is so important to see other people. Now, let's roll to the other side of it. It's important to see other people, but it's pretty amazing when you are seen. And even before I get into this, think about like how much more fulfilling it is to give than it is to receive. I think being seen and seeing other people falls into that same category. But for me this week, I realized through an interaction with a friend, a longtime friend, and shout out to Crystal Ford. But in connecting with her, I realized how meaningful it was that every time we see each other, every time that we text or even email, there's a certain greeting. If you know her, there's a certain Crystal-like greeting that you're going to get. And mine entails being super cat, but there's a certain greeting that you receive from her. And this week, it really set with me heavy, but a good heavy, because I felt seen. And it's like, man, even in her hello, there's an embrace, there's a welcoming and an accepting of who you are and encouragement and just like love through the way that she says hello. And I had to stop, lean back in the chair, like legit. I literally leaned back in my chair and I'm like, it's good to be seen. And I had to make sure I went the extra mile because sometimes it's not just good enough to think something in your head. You have to let it out of your mouth. My granny used to say, she used to say, I hope I get my flowers while I'm still living, right? Because dead people don't see all the pretty flowers that they are laid out for them at a funeral. And so I took that moment to say, hey, let me let her know the impact that this has. Whether or not it's something that she just does, it's little, it doesn't mean a thing, or she actually goes the extra mile. It doesn't matter, but it impacts me. I see it and it makes a difference. And so I thanked her. And not one of those like, oh, thanks for reaching out. No, like an explicit, like, hey, every time you greet, like I feel the love and I appreciate it. There's something about it. Thank you. Don't know if it's intentional or not, but I just want to let you know that it really means a lot to me. And I appreciate it. It is amazing to be seen. And sometimes, let's be honest, we can be seen for the wrong things, right? Because my prayer was, God, help me to see people the way that you see them. Because when I was seeing people, I saw flaws, I saw imperfections, I saw sin, I saw annoyance, I saw like things that irritate me. Those things were easier to highlight. So yeah, it's easy for other people probably to see that in me. But for you to see me as God sees me, for you to see me and like, despite all the other facts and all the things, despite my mood, my attitude, whatever it is on that given day, that you still see me and that there's love there. That's pretty dope. That's amazing. At least it is to me. And it took me right back full circle to, can you imagine what it is for somebody else to be seen? If I was just this moved by a super cat, if that moved me like that, imagine what I can do by just slowing down and taking the time to see other people. That it is better to give than it is to receive. So this week, I hope it comes at no traumatic stories of road rage on the road. But this week, I hope you take a moment to slow down and one, see yourself. If you're not seeing yourself, you do need to start there. See yourself. But see other people and take the time to appreciate being seen. Makes me think like at the beginning of the pandemic, folks would say like, it's good to be seen. And that's something that like my dad and older people used to say a lot. And when I hear it, I'm like, what does it even mean? But like during the pandemic, for me and some of my friends, it's like, that has meaning, a whole different meaning for me now. And so not just the good to be seen because I'm in the land of the living, but actually to see people the way that God sees them, that they are valuable, that they're important, and that they matter. You are valuable, you are important, and you matter. And I appreciate you coming, stopping by here, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform, to chop it up with your girl for just a few minutes. As we remember that there's so much more to this life, and that if you center God at it all on your destination, as you journey this path of life, this road of life, that you will reach a place where God has more for you, better than anything you ever imagined for yourself. So that's it for this week, guys. Until next week, same mode, same time, same place. I hope I have a little bit more of my voice left. But if not, the words still have the same meaning. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next week. But remember, God has more for me. God has more for you. Now let's get it. Take care.